All right, so sorry, I think I got cut off on that last one. I'm running out of time. But the key is NASA's going to try to send a spacecraft to try to go down inside these cracks between the ice blocks and try to analyze the water coming up, which gets pushed up through the giant ice layers, which is a few kilometers, this is several miles thick, and to analyze if there's any kind of life in here. And notice that the temperature increases as you go down into the water, which is different than the oceans on the Earth, where it's warmer on the top and gets colder as you go down. Here, the water is going to get warmer as you go down deeper into the ocean. If it needs sunlight, then we'd have to have sunlight up here. If there's ones down here, they either live off the decaying plants up here, which is possible. That's what we see in our oceans, is our bottom dwellers that live several miles down the bottom of the ocean, but they live off the dead carcasses that float to the bottom, or I shouldn't say float, sink to the bottom, and then just scramble around and then live off those carcasses. But it is also possible that maybe there's some kind of chemical reaction down here and they're living off something that has nothing to do with photosynthesis. We don't know. NASA hopes to search for that and try to figure out what's going on. All right, Titan. Titan is also very interesting. Titan is the moon of Saturn. What makes this moon unique and interesting is it has an atmosphere. It has an atmosphere that is about as thick, in fact, even a little bit thicker than the Earth's atmosphere. It's also an atmosphere based mostly of nitrogen, which is similar to ours. Now, there's no oxygen there, but there is methane. Now, the cool thing about the methane is the methane on Titan is at the same temperature as what we call the triple point of that molecule if you're taking chemistry. On Earth, our temperature is close to the triple point of water, meaning water can exist in three forms. It can be a gas or a liquid and a solid just by changing the temperature slightly. On Titan, it's much colder, much colder. It's only about 80, 90 degrees Kelvin. But that is at the triple point of methane, which means that methane can exist as a liquid, a solid, and a gas with a few temperature variations across the surface of Titan. So we lucked out, or we didn't really luck out, they planned on it, is they sent the mission, the European Space Agency sent the Cassini mission to Saturn. And it went there and orbited Saturn for about, a long time, like 10, 15 years. It only went away about 5 years ago. It was launched way back in the 90s. But it was orbiting Saturn, but what they did is they put a probe on it. It's called the Huygens probe. And the Huygens probe was deliberately made because we couldn't see through the atmosphere from Earth, we still can't, to drop through the atmosphere of Titan to see what the surface would look like. And so it fell through the atmosphere, a parachute came up and it started floating down and it was shooting pictures the whole way. It was shooting pictures. This is one of the pictures that I saw. You see, this is a composite of a whole bunch of pictures. It was actually spinning and taking pictures, and then like a jigsaw puzzle, they had to match them all up. But what you're seeing here is truly amazing because we didn't know this until we saw these pictures. This is a lake of methane. You see, this is methane rivers flowing into this lake, and then there's land around here. So it's very similar to Earth, other than it's super cold and instead of water, it's based on methane. Here is the surface. So one of the good things is it didn't land in the lake. It landed on the surface. This is a picture from the surface of Titan. Now the interesting thing about that is methane, remember CH4, and you have nitrogen in the atmosphere, you have all the building blocks that you need for life. Almost all the molecules that we have that build life are based on carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen. You put all those together in different combinations, you can create all the amino acids and all the DNA and all the proteins and everything we need to create life. So the molecules are there. Now our problem with Titan is it's just too cold. It's super cold, and so if there was life there, it would probably have to be life very different than life is on Earth. But this is the model of possibility here. Will it work? I don't know. Right now, I don't know that there's any missions sent to go back to Titan because it's at Saturn. It's a long way to go. It's hard to get there, but it is definitely one of the more interesting places in the solar system. All right, those are the different places in the solar system where we think there's a possibility for life. So there are some other ones, but those are the most likely ones. So the most likely one is Mars, which is why we're spending a lot of time there. Europa, the moon of Jupiter, and Titan, the moon of Saturn.